Dragon Ball FighterZ was one of the biggest surprises for me throughout the year because I'm not a Dragon Ball fan, not even remotely, but the gameplay of Dragon Ball FighterZ definitely drew me in. And as a massive anime fan in general, my hopes are pretty high for a potential, not necessarily sequel to Dragon Ball FighterZ, but hopefully like another franchise gets a competitive fighting game made by Arc System Works. The top of my list would be like a Naruto game or alternatively a My Hero Academia game. I think either of those would work in like that Dragon Ball FighterZ formula, but this is stuff that's probably way down the line because it needs to be built from the ground up. On the other hand, a Dragon Ball FighterZ Season 2 seems far more likely and is definitely much closer on a theoretical timeline. Now, Season 2 is probably still some time away, but when it does finally happen, these are the characters I would like to see added to the game. Again, keep in mind, I'm not necessarily the biggest Dragon Ball fan, so my reasons for having these characters on the list might be different than other people's. Most of the time, it's just going to come down to aesthetics and potential movesets, rather than like, oh, I loved this character in his arc. Starting off with a character I'm actually really disappointed didn't either make it onto the main roster or onto the first season of DLC, and that's Kefla. There's already a severe lack of female characters in the Dragon Ball world, but also in Dragon Ball FighterZ, there isn't really much representation of female characters at all, which is a big shame because Kefla feels like she would fit right in at home. The only other female characters on the roster is, of course, an original character, Android 21, and Android 18. If a Season 2 happened and Kefla wasn't on the roster, I would be very surprised. Next up is Jaron. I really don't know much about Jaron. All I know is that he looks very aesthetically different than most of the Dragon Ball roster, and for that reason, I'd really like to see him on the Season 2 roster, just because the less you look like a Saiyan, the more I'm interested in you being in the game, to be honest. There's just so many Saiyans and so many humans on the main roster that it's like, oh my god, I just want more different aesthetic styles, and Jaron would fit that, so Jaron, please. This next character would by far be the weakest character on the roster, and I'm fully aware of that, but I think it would be a bit of a disservice to not have him show up, especially because he was the first obstacle in Dragon Ball Z, which is most people's entrance into the series, and I'm talking, of course, about Raditz. After all, Yamcha and Krillin are both on this roster, and they're both pretty good as far as balance is concerned. I don't think the power level of the character is particularly important, and with that in mind, I just don't see a reason for Raditz to not show up on a Season 2 roster. Next up is Master Roshi. I mean, for obvious reasons, just because of his historical context in this world, he probably deserves his spot on the roster. Now, this next character I know very, very little about, but we're going to be talking about Geneva. He's got a cool aesthetic going on, and he's got a big sword. So, like, I'll take it, man. I'm a big fan of sword characters. I play Lion Gate in Blade Strangers because he's got a big sword. I like swords. Give me swords. I'll take character. I play Trunks because he's got a sword. Swords are cool. Give me Geneva. Now, this next character I actually know pretty much nothing about other than the fact that they have an extra form. So, like, there's a theoretical moveset implication there, right? You can do something cool with their moveset. And I'm talking about Zom-Bone. Again, I don't know anything about this character. I know he's got a cool form he can change into that kind of makes him look like a frog or a toad or whatever. I don't care what that does. I'm sure you can do something with it, with a moveset, and it would be cool. Maybe he gets extra armor on moves or something. I don't know. Give him a cool moveset, put him in the game, and I'll play him. Again, don't know much about this one. But I think he'd be kind of cool, just because he looks kind of cool. That's how I feel about it. Next up is Deborah. This is the character I am the most clueless about. All I know about him is that I recognize him, so surely he's at least moderately important for the story. Also, he just looks very aesthetically different to all the Saiyans and stuff, so yeah, give me Deborah. He's the character, honestly, out of this entire list, that if I had to take away one character, I'd take away Deborah, just because I know literally nothing about him. I only, like, hardly recognize him. And finally, the final slot. This is actually one that I would really like to see, just because it would kind of fill out an empty slot on the roster, and that's Dr. Jaron. We've got, like, practically all the androids, so why not get in Dr. Jaron, you know? There are a couple other characters I didn't manage to get onto this list. For example, I saw an interesting theory from Rafflemonger, who makes awesome Dragon Ball FighterZ content, by the way, if you want to go check him out. He mentioned he would actually really like to see Bulma as a playable character, and obviously Bulma is not really a fighter, but apparently, according to him, there is a lot of mechs in Dragon Ball, and Bulma is the type of character who would use one of these mechs. And if not, literally, just because you could come up with an awesome moveset for that, I'd like to see Bulma, man, because you've got the cool moveset thing going on with the mech, theoretically, and then you've also got the fact that, man, we just need more female characters on this roster, like I said at the start of this video. Just to point out how lacking we are in female characters, if Kefla is in Season 2's DLC roster, it would have taken the main roster, a first season of 8 characters of DLC, and a second season of 8 characters worth of DLC for us to be able to make one full female team. Because, like, right now, you can't make a full female team. You have to have a man in there somewhere, because you've only got Android 21 and Android 18. I don't know, it just really bothers me a little bit because like I enjoy playing female characters. In every MMO I've ever played, I've always played a female character. In Shinobi Strikers, which is basically an MMO, I've been playing a female character. In fighting games, I try to main female characters, but in all the fighting games I play, it just happens that the male characters usually have movesets that I enjoy more. I almost ended up maining Supergirl in Injustice 2, but the optimal way to play her just never really worked out for me. I really wanted to play Android 21 because aesthetically, she's just everything that I want. She's got crazy visual effects, amazing animations, and of course, a female character, but the way that character plays, it's just not the type of character that would end up on my team, and the same thing can be said for Android 18. So if Kefla does end up showing up in the game, I really hope she's got a cool moveset that isn't like some crazy setup or command grab playstyle, which I'm sure it won't be. I would imagine she's going to be quite aggressive, like a rushdown character maybe. Now, before I go, I do want to mention that there is a leaked DLC Season 2 roster. Now, I don't put a lot of credence into this. Apparently, it's a former Bandai employee that is disgruntled and decided to leak this, so take it with a grain of salt. So he's mentioned these characters in packs, so keep that in mind. The first pack would be Tapion and Gogeta. I really don't want to see Gogeta. He just doesn't look really cool to me. I don't know. I just don't really like the Saiyan design, and he just kind of is the personification of a Saiyan. Tapion I don't know much about, but he's got cool hair and he's got a sword, so sure. The next pack is Master Roshi and Videl along with Great Saiyaman. I do not know how to pronounce that. It's Gohan in a costume, dude. I mean, I'd be happy with that pack because we get some more females in there, which is cool. We also get Master Roshi, which is a character I'm looking forward to, hopefully. The next pack would be Raditz and Zom-Bone, and they're on my wishlist prediction, so I'll take it, man. And also, for the final pack, we got Kaba? I don't know. Saber? Something. And Kale with Khalifa. It's not Kefla, but it's the two people who come together to create Kefla. Honestly, I don't think this list is true. I don't see Videl making it in. I do see Gogeta making it in though. Also, I just highly doubt they would do Kale and Khalifa instead of doing Kefla. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I just don't think that roster is true. I'm hoping that my roster is accurate because we have so many cool characters. I mean, just look at the two rosters compared to each other right now. The only character that I would actually like to exchange on this roster is Deborah and Tapion. I would like to see Tapion on my roster because I think he would have a moveset that I'd be more attracted to. But for the most part, I think my roster is just more enjoyable for most of the community. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Regardless, let me know what you think in the comment section below. My name has been Bilbzy, and I appreciate you watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.